Record. Here we are. All right, ready. So let's start with the questions, and don't forget that you can always add more in the chat, right? So feel free, and also if you have something to say about what I'm going to tell you, just feel free to intervene in the chat. We have our trusted moderator Spoletta, which is here to collect your questions and help me with that too. So let's see Q&A questions. Back from the first. I'm going to list them, say, in order of importance. Okay. This is an interesting one, actually, that I've seen pop up several times in the last couple of months. Seer is asking, given that it takes a while to level up a character, is it envisioned to allow for switching a character race at any point or no? Well, first of all, you should know that if you've played the game in November, up until like, I think February or March, the number of proficiency orb required to reach level 10 or rank 10 in a School of Magic or School of Fighting was decreased quite a lot. I think originally it was 68 orbs that you had to consume, and now it's like around 30. So it's it's less definitely than it used to be. So leveling up a character, if you're just focusing on say it's a mage character, you choose the deer race, and so that's going to be a mage character, and you level up a couple of schools. It doesn't take so long anymore. Reaching rank 50 is fast, has always been fast. I think. I mean, for in an MMO way. So, but the hard part is the orbs, and now leveling up the orbs is a lot easier. So I think creating multiple characters is definitely more feasible than it used to be. And this was to say that no, we have no race change token or anything like that planned for this reason. But it should definitely be doable to have multiple characters. You now get more characters than before, by the way. I don't know if someone asked this, but in case you don't know, but you buy the game and you get 2 character slots. Then just with the first founder pack, you get the third, while it used to be 2 for the adept pack. So there is 1 more character slot for everyone basically, and then there are going to be also character slots in the store that are going to be pretty cheap that you will be able to buy. So the idea is that you would have multiple characters normally, unlike games like Albion Online, for example, where you just usually use 1 main character because you can there is no real difference between one character and the other. Will we be okay? So this is a question about summoning, and it's there were a couple, but and I also received a couple, and these questions were about the number of summoning slots that you can have, and if you can have more summons of the same type, like for example having 3 wolves. Having 3 wolves, no, is not planned. These abilities work, you activate it, it creates a creature, you deactivate it, it despawns that creature, and you cannot put the same spells multiple times in the hotbar, and that is why you can only summon 1 wolf. I wouldn't say it's impossible that we changes in the future, but that's how it works now, and that is going to be how it works. It will work for a while at least. While having more than the current number of control slots is going to be possible with talents. So we are implementing them right now. They will be ready, I think, for release. If not, they will be in the first patch. And the second talent of summoning, they both do nothing right now, but the second one will give you 2 additional control slots, bringing the total to 5. So you will be able to have 1 ghoul and 1 skeletal archer, for example, which right now is impossible. I think it's my favorite combo in this moment. Also, it's possible that we're going to introduce, well, actually, it's very, very likely that we're going to introduce even stronger summons in the future. Like, let's say a Dragonling that uses 5 slots. So you need the talent to be able to summon it. there is no, like, we don't have an exact design laid out for that, but we know that we want to do more summons, and it's very easy to do more summons for us because they are the same creatures that you find in the world, and it's just about adding an ability that you unlock when you get 100% of the knowledge of that creature, and then give something more specific to that, to the summon, which is usually going to mimic how the original creature was. And so for us, introducing more summons is very little effort now that the system is implemented. So there will likely be more summons. Is it intended that the summons fight each other in PvP zone? This is a question in the chat. Right now, there are several bugs with summons that we're fixing. You should not be able to ask your summons to attack another one of your summons. As a peaceful player, you should not be able to attack the summons of other peaceful players. Your summons should not be able to attack your own, should not actually just attack your own totems by themselves, and stuff like that. There's a lot of, well, it's like say a dozen of small bugs here and there that we are just fixing for release. Then let's see. So there is a balance issue here that that is here from Pop Nazi here in the channel, but there is also something that I've seen discussed many times in the on Discord in general, which is that some races are a bit underwhelming right now. Name Chief, the blood demons that have this blood bar that slows up, that fills up very slowly, compared to the other demon race, where instead it fills up very quickly. We're going to do a couple of small balancing changes for release that's going to put them more in line with one another, for sure. Let's see. So there is more than one question related to founder pack perks, particularly the housing. So currently our founder packs, they include things like, let me go and see exactly. So there is the cottage house blueprint with the master pack. Then there is the founder villa and the founder palace. We are working on all of those. We will try to get them implemented as soon as possible in one of the first patches after release. It won't literally be the first or the second patch because there's going to be bug fixes, there's going to be urgent things, but we're trying to get them done as quickly as possible. And we are also thinking about a way to make it easier for players to reshape their land claim, because right now you build a house, then you have to destroy it, and you lose all the materials that you gathered, and you also have to destroy all the chests that are inside because you cannot put them outside. It's complicated. So right now the best way you can just restart with a new land claim is that you actually abandon your land claim, because if you don't know that, it's possible some of you have missed that. But right now, if you abandon your land claim or it decays by itself because you don't pay maintenance, all the inventory items that are stored inside your land claim, which is, I mean the item inside of chests, I mean the ingots inside of a smeltery, and so on, they get saved, and then you can recover them. You will have a button to go to recover them by entering the closest city. I mean the city where the claim was located, or the city that controlled the region where the claim was located. So I think this is the easiest way to reshape your claim right now, is that abandon it, do a new one, and bring back all the items. We want to add something easier for the future, and once we have done that, we will also introduce the rewards for the Kickstarter and founder pack rewards, so that you will be able to rebuild your house without having to spend days readjusting everything. So there's a very interesting question here from Adelki. What is your estimate about a healthy population to keep Fractured going? The game revolves entirely around player interactions. Let it be PvP or trading or crafting. There must be a steady minimum number of players active. Yeah, the game is a sandbox MMORPG, so it's a real MMORPG, and yes, it definitely needs an active population. What is my estimate? So from experience in these years of development, what we could see is that the minimum, say, for the game to feel alive and populated, talking about minimum, is like 200 players connected on one continent, which would mean, in this case, 400 in total, since we have 2 continents. That is the minimum. That's, I would really put at the minimum. Cities would be kind of empty-ish then, but you will meet people. Even if the worlds are so big, when you go to points of interest, you will meet other people. The fortresses will be contested. There are going to be raids. There are going to be conquests. There are going to be people fighting in the god trials, which is new, but like there used to be people fighting around the gates, the star gates, and so on. There's going to be activity. There's going to be trading. So that is the minimum, right? But it's not ideal. It's very far from ideal. What I would say feels really good is to have at least 500 people connected inside of each continent. So yeah, if you log in the evening and there's 500 people on Aren, you're going to meet people everywhere you go. It's going to feel pretty good. There's going to be a lot of activity. More than that, 1,000, even better. 2,000, probably not so good actually, because the game doesn't have instances. So at that point, points of interest are going to be very populated. And at that point, it would be better to have another world, so another server where you can play. But yeah, so this is the numbers: 200 per continent minimum, 500 good, and 1,000 great. Let's see. Other questions. Well, actually, there is a question that has been downvoted a lot, which is actually interesting because, yeah, you're not the first person asking, Ardenis, which is, since it is not allowed, since it is now allowed for players to be peaceful as much as they want. Yeah, you mean you cannot be ganked if you're peaceful. Carrying resources from one city to the other city does not have much meaning. Well, are we going to get a global bank and global markets? No, I mean, the economy works even without player killing. I mean, if you look at the continent of Terra before, when the game was more populated after the launch in November and December, there used to be trading in Terra. People moved constantly resources from one place to the other. You would find the place buying resources for cheap because they had it very close, or selling them from cheap because it was close. And you had another city that was very far from iron that would actually buy iron for 3 times the price. And that was in a continent that didn't have any PvP. So no, you're not going to get global banks and global markets. The economy and trading and so on works even without bandits killing you or possibly killing you when you move those resources. Which, by the way, was never really the main thing that happened with PvP, most of the player killing that used to happen was in like points of interest, either around the Stargate, there was a hub for PvP, or it was inside of the or it was in some specific location, points of interest, mostly, and of course including the griefers that would kill new players if they didn't have the protection anymore and so on. That is the thing that happened the most. This whole romantic idea of bandits attacking people carrying their cart, it was relatively uncommon, to be honest. I can also say that as a player, if you don't know, I do have a secret player account. The whole company has secret accounts, but me in particular, and with no admin powers or anything. And I did a lot of moving things with the cart around. And not once I was killed by bandits, So that was never really a big thing. Let's see if there is something about this in the chat. Yeah, there is a question about City Auction from Xano Rath. And no, I haven't replied yet. I was going to reply now. There is also a question in... I think it was it still you? I have a bug with Discord that doesn't show me the names of of the people, and it just makes them shorter. But I think it starts with the eggs, so it's probably was you asking this in also in the Discord channel. Any information? So the plan for the auctions is for these cities to go this sort of voting process, but when the voting process is not done just by sheer number of people, because that was the original plan, right? That you could become a candidate, and that there would be an auction. That there would be an election with people voting. That was the very original plan for the cities on the world of Arboreus, but that is problematic for many reasons. The biggest one being fake accounts. I mean, people have created a lot of accounts for various reasons, and they can do it. And the game is now also cheaper than it used to be. So it's 15 euros in Europe. In like emerging markets is sensibly less than that if you buy it on Steam. So it's pretty easily. I mean, there would be fake accounts in this case. There would be people creating like, one guild of like 10 people creating 100 fake accounts, and we have like stopped all those cheats that used to exist, like buying the game, refunding it, and or logging in from another like from the standalone launcher when you have refunded on Steam. We've stopped all of that stuff, but disregarding that, even without the refund cheats, you can still, I mean, a committed player that wants to spend 1,000 euros creating 100 accounts will exist and could hijack a city. And so the best way is for groups of players to compete with money, because for that you need, I mean in-game money, not real money, so gold, because you need to be actually playing the game and be active, right? So 50 fake accounts will do nothing to get you more gold. And so the idea is that periodically there will be elections in these cities where people would be able to start a candidacy by spending a certain amount of money. And then there would be an auction where different groups can compete. So everyone can go and actually put money supporting one of the candidates, and until one of the candidates wins and becomes the new governor. We're considering leaving like a bias for the existing manager of the city. So it's not easy just to go in and try to take it. So there should be the incumbent governor should get an advantage over other candidates. But yeah, this is the idea. It's very simple. Like if you think about it, right? So the person who bets the most wins, who can spend the most wins. And of course, there's going to be like a buffer time after the one person, a new different governor wins an auction, where the citizen can go in their houses, can take out all of the stuff. An email is going to be sent to all the citizens. All of those things that already happen if a city is conquered by a city siege on Erin. So that is the idea. So there is a question. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna leave the chat for later, since I see there's a lot of interesting questions in the chat too. But let's go with the Discord channel first. So Padre Adamo is asking several questions. WASD movement? No, it's not planned. You've been asking this for like people have been asking this for 7 years, and the answer has always been no, and it's still no. What is the single feature you are most looking forward to implementing? Oh, I would say asteroids for sure. Yeah, if I have to choose, like personally, like end game content for PvP players. Being myself a PvP player, that's I mean, I've never been a PvP player in Fractured Online for obvious reasons. That would not be fair. But as generically a PvP player. That's the feature I'm most excited about. Other than that, dungeons, of course. So from a PvE perspective, certainly dungeons, which is actually one of the highest priorities, by the way. Can you give us a glimpse, no commitment of course, to any new schools or skills that you have in the works? Well, currently, honestly, we don't have anything planned in this regard. Like if you look at our roadmap, we will try to sneak in a few new abilities here and there. I mentioned the new summons, for example. There are some schools that definitely need to be enriched with more abilities, such as the schools of combat, for example, X fighting, swordmanship. They don't have many abilities. They have the variety is really limited there, so that's certainly an area of focus. Hunting is still pretty poor as a school. There's a few. I mean, if you play the game, you know those ones. So yeah, that's we're going to add some abilities here and there whenever we have time, but right now we are not planning to add any new school, not in the short or medium run. And are you considering city town invasions or on Terra or Arena? I think you mean PvE events in the cities. They are not planned right now. No, not really. It's certainly something that we could do in the future, but our pipeline, as I mentioned, is already really, really packed. So there's a lot of questions here from another person with the name Cat, sadly. Any chance of adding right click to move and the left click to attack? Yes, we have plans to add new controls, new control options in the settings menu, which includes like customizing what your left mouse button and right mouse buttons do. These abilities. Okay, I'm going to skip the abilities that are the questions that are too specific, like increasing the range on pin down, because I think this is very it's not really interesting for say the wider audience. Storage audit log, so you can see if somebody stole your stuff, if one of your friends stole your stuff. We could do, I mean, it's something definitely we could do. It's not easy to implement because you would have to add a lot of data inside of the chest. You would have to create a dedicated interface and save a lot of data. So it's not planned right now. It's never say never, but it's not planned. Friends list, yes, the friends list is planned. I don't know when it will come exactly, but hopefully in the next months. But it's planned. And an inspect function to see exactly what your enemy is wearing. Yes, that is also planned. It's not high priority, but it is. Questions about cosmetics and beyond recolors. Yes, we do have plans to create skins, like full skins for your armor. Those are going to be always related to the type of armor that you're wearing. So it's kind of like in PvP, it's important that you recognize what the person is wearing. So this is one possibility that we are considering. The other possibility that we are considering is instead using costumes. So you can actually buy a costume. I think if you play MMO, you know what that means. The look of your character changes completely. So you're just wearing something, silly that is really completely unrelated to what you're wearing. But that would only work for peaceful players. Or anyway, you would always have the option to go in your menu and disable that view for other players. So if you're say a PvP player, you actually want to see what the other people are wearing, not the costume, and so you can disable the costumes of other aggressive players, for example. There is also another route we could take for the skins, and between the two, I would say that the second one is the more likely of the two. Regarding rewards for Genesis players, I'm going to have a dedicated post for that. So yeah, you can wait for that. Let's see. This is another very good question. I'm going to drink a bit of water. And so Swagstar is asking, what is the vision for long-term player engagement? Many players get the feeling that they have done and seen everything of interest quite fast, so they don't see a reason to play anymore. So on one hand, compared to like November, we have added some sorry, we have added some new say avenues for end game gameplay. There are the fortresses for PvP players, groups, so PvP guilds. You have the all the trials. Some of them can be quite challenging. They are going to be full of PvP players once the game is populated. So there's going to be a lot of action in those places. And in general, since it's now actually feasible for players to create multiple characters, because your orbs stack with your imbues, because fewer orbs are required to level up your schools. We do expect also players to create more characters. Now that being said, we are very, very aware that on the PvE side, we're still missing something really fun for the end game, except for Ultimate Legends, right? The loot has been rebalanced, so now those are really worth it. They were not in November and December. Now they're absolutely worth running. So we do expect players also to do those events, either the PvE version on Terra or the PvP version on Erin, a lot. And that's going to keep you busy. We do have some more of those that we could add. But that being said, the big thing are going to be dungeons in this regard for PvE in particular. And we are working on them. We don't have an ETA for them yet, but that is the next big thing. Now, that being said, even without dungeon, the game has quite a lot to offer right now. There is more build variety. There are more races. There are more events happening, different events happening on the map. There is definitely more than there used to be in November. Yeah, I already replied about summons. I think I also replied to the question of Idini. I can only see the Y in the name, but that's definitely Idini. Yeah, that was the same question basically for PvE players, keeping them engaged. Let's see. So Olive Pete is asking about farmed leafy greens and vegetables, which actually was the first question in the Q&A. Yes, I was planning to reply, Olive. I wasn't planning to ignore you. Sometime in the future, that is going to happen. Sometime in the future. I know that's not I know it's a bit of a disappointing reply, but we do have a lot of more important things to do right now. Yeah, Torres pointing out in the chat that engaging PvP events and guild feuds will make people stick around. Yes. Also, another very important thing that will make people stick around, we're going to introduce proper competitive seasons. That is for PvP players. So there's going to be ways to accrue points. There's going to be ways to, I mean, that kind of already happens. I mean, you already have like a menu in the game where you can see the points that your guild has gained in the season, but there is actually no reward. There is no dedicated menu with that actually details how the season is going. It's just a placeholder, basically. We are going to have something proper in this regard. So that is going to be another big thing for PvP players. That is also going to include PvE players, by the way, because like ranking high in a season is also going to be related to the activity that your guild does, activity done by PvE players, and so that's I think is going to be, that is also one of the highest priorities that we have right now, and that is also going to be, I think, a big factor for end game retention, particularly for groups. So there is another couple of questions here. Can you tell us, please, will the 3 play styles come back in the future? And will there be a different rewards for the 3 words? Well, we have gotten away from the original concept of 3 races, 3 play styles for the reasons that I've explained also in the videos, I've explained in the post. So I don't want to repeat myself too much, but that vision is no longer a thing. So right now the races are pretty neutral in terms of not neutral as in alignment, that can be confusing. Every race can choose to be peaceful or aggressive, can choose to start in the planet it wants to. So that concept was very cool on paper, but it turned out that it was flawed from a design perspective, which is what I've explained and in the videos and in the posts. But also, to really bring it to fruition as designed, it would have required an amount of resources that was just out of what we could do as an 8-people team. Like, we had a plan for Fractured Online and for the team to grow more than it actually did. So this is a really big thing that you need to understand when you have. I don't mean only you, but I mean all of you that are listening and that are following Fractured Online. We expected a different trajectory for the growth of the studio over the years, and at some point it seemed that we had taken that trajectory with our former publisher Gamigo. Don't laugh. The team actually grew a lot back then. We were 15 people at some point, and yeah, we started to produce. We could produce a lot more content. I mean, 15 people versus 8. That's huge. That's a huge difference. It's almost twice as many, right? And there were hope that we could grow even more, and that didn't happen. So we're back to being 8 people. For most of the development of Fractured Online, we've been 7-8 people, and for 1 year we've been 15 people. With a team like this, for an ambitious sandbox MMORPG, you really need to think about how to optimize your development time a lot. And the whole concept of really making 3 wars that are completely different in play style to a deeper level, in systems, in mechanics, it just became too much. It just became too much for us. We could not release Fractured Online in 2028. That's too much. It was after 7 years of development, it was time to release, and so that is the biggest reason why that concept is gone. Well, just to reply to the chat, many comment that development is slow. Well, Idini, I'm not so sure that our development is slow, really. I mean, if you put it in the perspective of an 8-people team, I think we've been really fast, actually. I'm not aware of any MMORPG with the amount of feature and the ambitiousness of Fractured Online being around, or that has ever been around. So also, if you look at what we've done from November till now, I mean, that's been basically 8 months, and we released major updates, the races and so on. We didn't manage to introduce big endgame content like the dungeons, because that is a type of content that is very difficult to develop with a small team, because it requires a lot of art. That is the biggest reason, really. A lot of art for the structures, a lot of art for the monsters, just a lot of art. And so that is that is the main reason. But I don't think we've been slow, really. I think that's a bit unfair. Of course, if we were 20 people, then yeah, it would be a lot better. Let's see what the release brings, because the release should be able to really change things around. Okay, so let's see if I left some important question behind, aside the questions about me sleeping properly. As you can see, the answer is no. Let's see. Let me read it all back from the beginning. And if there is nothing, then I'm going to move to the chat. So Todd is asking for more abilities for governors to message our tenants that aren't in the guild. In general, we do have more powers planned for governors. Like we have already added something, but yeah, we do have a few quality of life improvements planned for governors. Oh, okay, and there is a question from another person with the name Kat that is asking, what are the end goal plans for this game? I'm happy to see PvP is becoming more of a focus. I'm curious, like in 2-5 years, where you hope to see the game. Well, that's a nice question. I definitely expect the game in a couple of years to have a lot more content really in the end game. That is really what we're focusing on completely at this point. So dungeons are going to be, as I mentioned, the big thing to keep players engaged. So I do fully expect players in 2-5 years to spend, I mean, a big chunk of the player base to be inside of dungeons instead of on the surface, which also means that each continent will be able to house more people. And in general, we want to, this is a live service game. Introducing more content is what you do, right? You keep releasing new patches. We don't have plans for DLCs for anything paid. So we want to release free updates for a pretty long time. Like we have a super long pipeline. Okay, so I think we are... Okay, so there is a question. Okay, there is more than one question that showed up in the chat and also on Discord, which is, have you worked on an ad campaign other than Twitch, unless you're paying big streamers to play? We are paying some streamers to play. Yeah, we are. We're trying to get as many as possible free. We are offering deals. By the way, this is actually a good moment for me, I think, to tell any possible content creator that is watching the video right now, there's going to be an email coming out right after I'm done with the streaming. I'm going to send a newsletter. So, but that being said, I can also announce this here. We have 2 programs for content creators. One is on Lurkit, where you can get a key. You can apply and get a key. And one is on Exolla. You can find it out if you go on fracturedmmo.com and actually influencers.fracturedmmo.com. And if you go there on Exolla, you can ask to become a partner, and you're going to get a link, an affiliate link, where if people buy the game from your affiliate link, you get 20% of the value of the purchase after taxes. And So there is one program for content creators that we are going to offer to content creators, and another one is just getting a key, and then there is going to be a paid campaign on Lurkit for content creators, paying them to play. That is going to happen. Don't expect the very very big content creators. Expect relatively big content creators that do our kind of game. That do sandbox MMOs, because it's money. Like our budget for this campaign is not big, as you can imagine. So we need to focus it on the streamers, the content creators that really are focused on this genre. On a side note, if you are like the leader of a gaming community, of a guild, you can message me on Discord, or you can message one of the game masters, Spoletta, for example, or you can send an email to contact@dimstudios.com. You can find the email on the website, and we could offer also to you to become a partner, even though you're not a content creator. But if you are the owner of a gaming community, I will verify that, or the leader of a gaming community, we could offer that deal to you as well, so you can bring in your guild and make a bit of money for bringing in all your guild. So there is that too. Yeah, Pixelest says, I have been pitching Fractured to my Albion guild. Yeah, so if you have an Albion guild, for example, I can verify that you do actually have it, of course, by, say, usually what I used to do with this, because we were used to do the same thing back then in Alpha, so a long time ago. What we could do is that you write me on Discord. You invite me to the Discord server of your guild. I actually verify that you're telling the truth, of course, and then I can get you in the partner program as a guild leader. And if you are in the program, then if 100 people come and they buy the game for 20 euros, you're going to get 20% of that. So that's quite a lot, actually. We had one guild master back in the days that made a couple of $1,000, I think, or something like that. So a very big guild master of a very big group. So now let's get to the chat. I'm going to stop with the questions on Discord. One from Pop Nazi: can Necro and Druid go back to be based on wisdom, which would be spiritual power instead of being based on magic power? It's something I've actually considered. I think our game designer disagrees. I think my game designer is watching right now, but and I think he disagrees. But it's something that it's something that I've thought about more than once in the last few weeks. We'll see. So let's get to the chat now. Let's talk about that brown couch in a white room. It's the landlord that put it there, really. I can't... it was there. It was there. Same questions as the chat. Some of them I've already replied to. Element Seer is asking future of blood casting and the Warlock set. Cheers. Yeah, we need to do something for that Warlock set. So there are two armor sets that right now are kinda weird, unused, which is the two medium sets. It's the Hunter set and the Warlock set, which incidentally they are both hide armor. So that's the hide armor path, and it has two very questionable armor sets right now. So one was absolutely stupid. It was like it would give you, when it was implemented, it was give you plus 50 in November. It was give you plus 50% damage against all monsters if you had 100% knowledge of that monster, which was ridiculous for farming, totally unbalanced. And the other one was pretty useful, but only as long as people could cheat the system and do have negative mana regeneration from sustained abilities, which now work in a different way, so that they could be always at 0 mana and therefore always cast with a 70% cooldown reduction. So this is, both things were not good. I mean, one was absolutely imbalanced. The other one was nice as long as there was this kind of trick to make it work in a way that was unintended. So both of them need a rework, and we are planning for that, like an actual rework of both sets. We wanted to link one of them to summoning, but we already have the talents that increase the control slots. I don't think that increasing control slots with an armor set would be ideal. So turning one of the two into a summoner set could be a good idea. Could be nice. It's a medium armor, so anyway you can cast restoration spells. Actually, you can cast those even in heavy armor or not? No, for only medium. I don't remember actually, but yeah. So it's medium armor, so it's open to everyone, to most playstyles basically. And so yeah. One of them will be like that most likely, and the other one we'll see. I mean, the concept of like using your HP to cast instead of your mana is something we could work with, but we have to rethink it. We have to rethink it from how it is right now. Will there be Growfire question again? Will there be higher rank than tier 2 armor and weapons, and when? There is going to be, for sure, but it's going to take a bit because there is also something quite art intensive. So we don't know exactly when that is going to happen. It is planned, particularly for oh, there's a lot of wind now. Particularly for the weapons that right now are very basic. They require nothing special to be crafted. There is no. They really lack uniqueness. There were also plans to not have tier 3 armor, but instead have the possibility to improve the power of your tier 2 armor by turning it into an artifact. So you would collect certain items that would turn your piece of armor into an artifact that would gain unique properties, and so that would be on top of like imbuing and something like that. So there is this kind of plan too, this kind of multiple artifacts for each type, for each piece of armor. So we have different ideas laying around. We'll see what we decide, and we're going to implement it in time. Are you getting the wind noise in the microphone? If so, I'm going to close the window. Okay, so it's all right. Then, well, actually, the wind is very welcome right now, because for the first time since the whole summer, there is actually warm days here in Amsterdam. So yeah, for once I'm actually pretty warm. Let's see, more questions. One was about dungeons. I already replied. Can we get a vendor in our home like vendor NPCs? No, that's not planned. We have marketplaces. We want to centralize trading in city marketplaces. Torfo is saying, is commenting to what I said before. I killed many crystal miners. Yeah, sure. Killing at the point, like at the people mining the crystals, yes. Killing people just trading crystals from one city to the next is the thing that would not happen frequently. That's what I meant. But yeah, killing at points of interest, yeah, it happened, of course. What's it was very easy, right? You would just go pick on someone just mining, and very easy. Um, oh, that's a tough question from Wayne. How long do you think that you can run this project with the funding you still have? A while, a while. I mean, we did accumulate a decent amount of funding after the launch in the early access launch in November. Then things went down, but it was good for a while. We don't have we don't have a huge leeway. So when I say a while, I don't mean like a long while. But we are launching a full release right now, so there's going to be a huge spike in monetization right now. That is going to happen starting next week, and then the following months. Hopefully, things will stay in a much better situation. That there's going to be a much better progression than there used to be in December last year, where after a couple of months from launch, things went south quite a lot. So yeah, we like financially the company is okay. We don't have like a big fat bank account, but we're going into full release right now, so there's going to be a huge influx of cash coming really soon. So let's see. I think we're almost done with all the questions. There's the same question in 2 to 5 years. Do you have plan for inflation? Okay, this is another tough question. Do you have a plan for inflation? What can you do to keep the long-term health of the economy as the server ages? Well, we have introduced more gold sinks than there used to be. So the game, so right now, basically before you only used to spend gold to enchant your pieces of gear. Right now you can repair your items. You can re-roll your orbs. There's a few more things that you can do to consume gold that didn't exist before. So that's should help. Of course, a certain level of inflation is a thing in all MMOs. That just happens. There is no MMO that can really control it 100%. I mean, consider that inflation is a thing in real life too, right? Things need a certain level of inflation even in real life economics to work. So in MMOs, it's a lot harder to control it than a central bank can do, and so any MMO will suffer, that has suffered and will suffer from that. That being said, we have added more gold sinks. We are going to add some more, and that should help slowing it down to a point where it's sustainable. Are there any plans to add more developers, or can you accept donations for more features to happen quickly? Well, I mean, yeah, we have always accepted donations. If you can buy gold on the store, and that is a way to donate money. I mean, you can buy, not gold, sorry, dynamite tokens that used to be called dynamite gold back in the days, and you can buy an unlimited amount of that if you want to make a donation. Thank you, by the way. Thanks a lot. Tony the Tiger is asking, is the old server really gonna stick around? It doesn't make a lot of sense given the population. We'll see what happens after the launch, Tony. We'll see. There should be enough people to populate both. If there isn't enough people in the long run and it becomes needed to actually shut it down because it just becomes completely empty, then we will shut it down and we will allow players to transfer with certain limitations their characters. But that is not something that is going to happen anytime soon. Um, Somebody asked, was it Flaco? No, it was not Flaco. It was not the guild master that's in the partner program. I don't think Flaco ever asked me to be in the partner program. I think I would have added him, of course, if he had asked, but I think he never asked. Or actually, yeah, because the program. No, Mr. Flaco was already around back when we had the program, but he never asked. Spiritual power. Oh, this is all a lot of small questions. Referral program for non-streamers, something like getting dynamite tokens or skins. Yeah, I mean, we would like to implement something like that, but right now we just don't have time. So we prefer to focus on the streamers. Would it be possible in the future to remove limitations on spells for armor so we can have more freedom on building? This question actually is on building our characters. This question has been asked several times over the years. No, this is not planned. I mean, we have thought about it many times, but ultimately balancing it is hell. Like allowing some skills to be used by heavy users and giving them maluses to disabilities very difficult from a design perspective. It's just easier to prevent the users from using those abilities. That being said, we have expanded a lot what you can do in medium armor. Like back then, the limitations in the past used to be a lot stricter. Like there was a lot more things that were doable only in light armor, while right now almost everything is usable in medium armor. Is there going to be another Founder Pack sale? Are Founder Packs still going to be available after release? Yes, they're going to be available after release. Kakarus, I don't know for how long, but they will be available for a while. When we phase them out, we're going to announce that they're going. And maybe do a sale. I don't know. No, we're not planning a sale right now. It could happen, but it's not planned for the time being. And I think we are done. Are you going to allow people to use these governor packs in the fresh server? That's something we still have to decide. There is very few players that have those that will be playing on the new server, and the only thing these governor packs do is allow you to get the city faster. But since we are going to implement one of the highest priorities, right, for us is to implement city perks and bonuses for all the cities. is one of the highest priorities after the release. So right now, what I think many people feel is that, oh my god, I need to get the city with the harbor as quickly as possible. And if I get a city with a harbor, then I'm going to be able to actually get a ton of money, and while other cities are way less important to own. This is going to change once we implement perks for all the cities. And so being faster than other people in claiming a city at launch is not going to matter a lot. So even if we keep this possibility for the owners of the governor packs, there is only a handful of them who are still playing. And the gold required to claim a city is not so much, to be honest. If you have an active group of players, you can get it really, really quickly. So if you look at the early access launch, some governors claim the cities faster. That really was not a problem for all the other players. I mean, all the guilds that started the game, none of them had a governor pack, and all of them managed to get their city. Yeah, Darkness. There is less cities than governor packs sold, kinda, but 90% of those governors are not active. Of those people with a governor pack are not active. So don't worry. Don't worry. I mean, I know some of you are concerned about this. It is not a concern. If you look at November 8th, that was not a problem like at all. And in this new server launch, there is not going to be an issue at all as well. Yeah. So yeah, this is all. I think we are good right now. Yeah, if there is no more questions, actually we did more than 1 hour. No, we did exactly 1 hour, since I had the travels with the microphone. I think we did 1 hour of streaming, which is a pretty good number. So I think we can stop here. It's been really nice to be back. I can tell you, to do a stream, to talk to you directly in this format. It's something that I definitely want to do again as soon as possible. Maybe the week after release or something like that. We'll see. But yeah, it was really, really nice. Thank you all for being here. Very, very intense days. Releasing 4 days, so it's a super, super exciting time. I can't wait. And yes, I can't wait to play on my account. I don't know if some of you have the impression that maybe we don't play our game much, but we do, and me in particular, I do. I wonder if somebody ever figured out who I am in the game. I've never been in any guild, obviously, because that obviously wouldn't be fair. Although it's possible that I created a guild for myself and the other developers of Dynamite Studios. So who knows? It's very possible that I talked to you in the game. All right. Thank you all. See you in the next Q&A. See you in the chat. Love you all. Cheers. Bye bye.